Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond. So before I get going and have a look at our indicators this week, I'm just going to read through the disclaimer. So please feel free to read along as well. Beyond Trader LLC is strictly a research publishing firm. Information we publish is based on our opinions plus our quantitative models, statistical and financial data, and independent research. This service is not registered with any financial regulatory agency such as the SEC or any other organization or governmental body. By using our platform or our services, you acknowledge that we do not provide personalized recommendations or advice. Alternative asset classes are volatile investments and carry significant risk. Please do your own research before making any financial decisions. Okay, so let's get straight to it and see what's going on with our indicators this week. So a very high level overview. Currently, our two key quant models, Biyond Atlas and Vanguard, they're still very bearish. And I think it's worth having a look at Biyond Atlas in specifics and just kind of seeing what's been going on this week. So if I zoom in at the price action here, and we can see that this week we've been having a steady move higher in Atlas, therefore bearish pressure is increasing because it's an inverse indicator. However, if we have a look to historical data, previously, when we've moved up to this red zone, it does mean that Bitcoin is very, very oversold. So even though we've moved back into the deep red zone here, there's still a silver lining in that if we were to turn lower, Atlas has a significant amount of room to move lower towards the green zone, which means that Bitcoin can move much, much higher. I think a good thing here would be to just have a look at Atlas on a historical basis, if I can just get it on here. And we can see previously when we've moved into the red zone and we've started to move away from it, this is when we've had these major bottoms in the market for Bitcoin. So hopefully and potentially this is what we're seeing now. However, we haven't seen the turn yet, so there is a serious risk of more downside pressure. If we have a look to Biyond Vanguard, and Biyond Vanguard is equally as bearish. And if we move to the weekly time frame, which is probably the most accurate, and even though this is lagging because it tracks the price close of the week, it won't represent it on the 1.0 model here until we've seen the weekly close. So obviously we're going to get another second bearish red close. And the only time that we've really seen this previously is on these two occasions, and each time is actually marked a turning point in Bitcoin. You can see two red candles in a row, i.e. extreme bearishness, and then the trend has reversed, and we can see it here at around the same period or just a little bit earlier last year, two red candles and then a strong reversal. So it's basically going to be critical that we see Bitcoin starting to reverse. Otherwise, I think we're going to be moving back into other periods of time, i.e. where we've simply moved into a bear trend. So very, very important week ahead for Bitcoin. And I guess the other key point here is that if we have a look at our long-short ratio and the positionings data, having a look at traders with the highest margin balance, i.e. the so-called smart money, they're super bullish towards Bitcoin. They've been buying on every dip. And even though Bitcoin trades, close to the 102 level and has been under the 100,000 level, they're still holding on and increasing their longs, which means that they've got a strong amount of confidence. There's also another very interesting dynamic where if we have a look at the global accounts, i.e. the so-called dumb money, they're also super long. So one of these is right and one of these traders is wrong. It's very unusual that they're both doing the same thing at the same point in time. So this will be a dynamic that will unfold this week. And I think if we got some type of nervousness at the start of the week, maybe we'll start to see retail traders starting to roll over. Something that might be interesting for you to know is that if we have a look at Ethereum, having a look at how these top traders are currently positioned towards Ethereum, they're actually expecting upside gains on Ethereum. And if we have a look at something like the retail positioning for Ethereum, it's actually been growing more negative, although a slight bump there, but it has been going more negative recently, which is obviously quite an encouraging sign, as we want the top traders with the highest margin balance to ideally be right. If we have a look at Beyond Challenger, it doesn't represent it here, but on Bitcoin this week, on Friday, we did see a perfected buy signal on Challenger, and since then Bitcoin has moved higher. And I think if we go back to actually Challenger itself now, there's a number of altcoins that are very close to issuing weekly buy signals coming up, but it's certainly looking more positive, but nothing really on the lower time frames for Bitcoin or any other really significant top 10 cryptos at the moment. But the weekly time frame for some other altcoins is starting to look pretty interesting. So I think the overview going into next week is that our quant models are still very bearish. However, there is some hope on the horizon here, mainly because Biyond Atlas is extremely oversold and top traders are positioned for a big rebound in the market. So I guess the takeaway is trade with some extreme caution this week. But if we don't make new lows, then it's highly likely that we're going to start to see a strong rebound in the next couple of weeks. And bear in mind my comments about Vanguard, and that usually if we get 2 weekly red candles in a row, normally it's a signal for some upcoming reversal. But obviously don't hold me to that because we are very late in the cycle. And I'm also hoping for a strong rebound, by the way. But, we shouldn't ignore the technicals. If we break underneath the lows of this week, next week, then things could really go south for the crypto market. So it's very critical that we don't move too much lower in the coming week, and then we start to see a strong rebound. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again next Sunday.